Let's get into Brush Street Beat presented by McLaren Health Care. Today's guest is Johnny Kane, Fox Sports Detroit reporter. Johnny, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, it's a distinct privilege. I'm happy to be on.
We are very happy to have you, and we are going to get some of the sad news out of the way first. I think kind of shook the whole Detroit sports media world when Ron Gardenhire decided to retire effective immediately over the weekend. And I know that you had a special relationship with Ron Gardenhire, not just as a reporter. So why don't you talk about his time in Detroit a little bit?
Yeah, it was tough news. We got notification about a half hour before we were come on for Tigers Live that there was that Zoom call with Al Avila and Ron Gardenhire. And my first thought was maybe that Gardy would be extended another year because of the job he had done with the Tigers this season, and which has been a difficult season for everybody. But then, then we started thinking a little bit more, and then we thought maybe it could go the other way too. And so, the biggest thing about Gardy is, and everybody will say it, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. He's one of the best baseball managers, certainly of my generation. And but it's about him as a person. And so, us being team partners or at Fox Sports Detroit, we get a little bit maybe greater access than a lot of other people would. And so I've been able to develop a pretty good connection with Gardy over the last couple of seasons, and just the ultimate respect for him as a guy, because I think I always talk to people about, professional athletes are regular human beings at the end of the day. They just happen to be really good at playing a particular sport. Same goes for coaches or managers. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and you always respect people, but you don't necessarily have to talk up to them or talk down to them. And I always felt like Gardy was so relatable, and he was just a regular guy. He was just a normal guy who was really good at managing baseball. So that's where I connected with him, was the fact that he never looked at me as some inferior or just some reporter. We were just guys, and I had my job to do. He had his job to do. And at the end of the day, I asked him questions about the job that he did. And so I was just bummed out because, as I had said on the show, he was the best baseball manager that I had the privilege of covering in my time in the business.
Johnny, during the course of this season, did you see a change in Ron as far as maybe not that the pressure was getting to him, but he wasn't the lovable Gardy that we've all come to know? Or were you pretty much blindsided like most people were on Saturday?
Yeah, I think I was surprised. Again, I didn't get to see him on a daily basis like we would in a typical season, just because of the COVID restrictions. We would still get a chance to interview through a screen, just like what we're doing. But to actually be around somebody and get a sense of how they're doing, how they're feeling, it was tough to do. So for the few minutes that we would have an exchange, through a monitor, it wasn't easy for me to pick up on the fact that it had really been weighing on him. But I was surprised more than anything. I could tell it was taking a little bit of a toll. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of unique challenges for everybody involved with baseball this season. And I just feel like for somebody like Gardy, it certainly took its toll on him. And for him to make the decision, with just a couple of weeks left in the season, or a week and a half as it is, he felt serious enough about taking care of whatever it is that he's got to take care of, and I'm happy for that. And the players said the same thing. They echoed the same sentiments that, again, we're all human beings, and you have to take care of yourself at the end of the day, and everything else is secondary. So I'm praying for him, and I hope whatever it is we can get right, and hopefully have some share a few laughs down the line in some capacity.
Very well said, Johnny. Oh, excuse me. Very well said. I'm getting sad thinking about Gardy. I hope that everything's okay with him. I think we all wish him the best and hope that maybe next year when spring training rolls around, we can see him healthy and back on the baseball field. But let's talk about what happened on the field for the Tigers over the weekend a little bit. Michael Fulmer he got his start on Friday, and he pitched probably the best that we've seen him pitch since making his return. He had 3 scoreless innings with 1 hit, 1 walk, and 2 punchouts. So what did you think of Fulmer, and are you finally starting to see the progression that we've wanted to see out of him?
Yeah, I think that was his best start of the season. And again, when you're on a pitch limit or inning limit, more specific to him, you know what you have, and doesn't matter how well you're going. You know what you have to do over 3 innings of work, and I thought he did a fabulous job. We all know how good he can be. We all know how good his stuff is. Anybody who's ever come back from a major injury or surgery or operation, rehab can be very difficult. Your mind knows what your body is capable of, but sometimes your body doesn't respond to what your mind is asking. And for Michael and for any athlete that's had to go through it, sometimes it comes at different stages. So I'm happy for him knowing that, again, he was on an innings limit. We have a condensed season. I want him to have some positive feelings moving forward. And I thought that his latest start gave him that. The baseball is mental as much as anything else. And I think for him to be able to go out and execute the way that he did certainly bodes well. And, you continue to work. You hear that where it almost becomes numb when you hear that guys are putting in the work. When you put in the work and the results aren't necessarily there, that can weigh on you mentally. And sometimes it takes just a start like that one, albeit just 3 innings of work, but that's what he was given, and he was able to do the most with it. So he'll continue to put in the work. I know him. I know how he operates, and I was happy to see that. And hopefully that is a sign for us moving forward.
Hopefully, Ron Gardenhire will be able to hold your cigar one last time. I mean, at least. I mean, Fisher with Gardy was classic. With that said, I want to turn our attention to maybe a big picture about the Tigers as this season wraps up. What are you going to take from this? What are the encouraging signs? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Obviously, Scooble, Mize coming up, I think has reinvigorated the fan base at least. How do you see the weird 2020 season?
I think they did more with less, if that makes sense. I don't think there were any expectations for this club to be a legitimate playoff contender. And up until, about a week ago, that was a realistic possibility. That's why I thought Gardy deserved a ton of credit. Because this season, you always have expectations going in. Players always want to go out and win every game. Managers manage to win every game. But you also have to be realistic and say that the pieces in place right now, this is about getting reps like anything else. Whatever your business is, whether you're a reporter, you need to get reps, and you're not going to be as good today as you're going to be down the line. And so I feel like with this particular team, they needed to go out there and just play ball, get reps, get games under their belts, get major league experience, and all across the board. Look all across the diamond, look at the outfield. I mean, we are talking about guys that were prospects a season, 2 seasons ago, now are getting a bona fide major league experience. You talk about Scooble and Mize. That's the first wave, and we have another wave coming. Those guys are able to go out and pitch and understand what it takes at this level. I'm not saying that the results don't matter at all, because those guys are going out trying to pitch deep into games and win. But that's not the ultimate important thing. It wasn't as though every time Casey went out, you said, hey, you have to go out and win this game. That's the way he thinks. And moving forward, 2 seasons, 3 seasons from now, he's going to win a lot more than he loses. I can promise you that much. But this is about understanding what it takes. I wouldn't say pacing yourself, but understanding what it takes mentally and physically to play this game at this level, day in, day out, make your starts, get in a routine, take care of the body, all those things. It's an invaluable experience that you can't get from watching. You have to play it. You have to do it. And I felt like with this team, we could go up and down the lineup. I just feel like this was a great learning opportunity for so many of these guys that are plugging in different positions. And then we say, who's going to be locked into that spot moving forward? I think some answers will be answers to questions will be we certainly had some of those this year.
Johnny, the Tigers have been pretty streaky this season, to say the least. And right now, it hasn't been the greatest streak. They've won 14 of their last 19. But on the other side of things, the Tigers have had a lot of players make their MLB debut this season, which is something that's really positive, I think, since we have so many prospects in the system that fans are excited about, the team is excited about, the organization is excited about. So really what I want to know is, what kind of evaluation do you think this 60-game season gives those players?
It's a good question because, we use the expression, sample sizes, and, certainly there are different barometers in the course of a season that you would like to have your measurables. And, 60 games, does that give you enough plate appearances to make a decision on a guy? No. Does that give you enough starts for, pitchers? Does that give you enough innings to make a decision on a guy? No. But as I had mentioned before, I do feel like there's a lot of questions that will be answered just based on what you do see in the sample size. It's almost, how do you say? It's almost as if, forget the results of anything else. You still got major league work in. So now you're probably going to carry a lot of the numbers that you saw from this season, and we'll see how many guys are going to play, whether it's winter ball or something else. We might be able to stretch some guys out and maybe keep those guys going a little bit to kind of mimic more of a larger sample size that you would like to see on guys. And then you come back to spring training next year, and then you get back into that same evaluation, almost a carryover as into the start of next season. So, I think the experience has been fabulous for a lot of these kids. It's a privilege to wear the Old English D. You guys all understand that. These guys understand that. And, again, I hate to keep saying that the results don't matter, but you have to have a big picture mentality, certainly in this game. And when you're going through a rebuild, and say, okay, you got to win the individual battles so that ultimately down the road you can win the war. The war wasn't going to be won this year. It's going to be won here, hopefully in the very near future.
Johnny, pro tip for next season, next time you are working a Tigers game, Dan Dickerson has a hot dog maker courtesy of Art Regner, and it's sitting in the radio booth up there. So if you need to get a hot dog, just go bother him. He'll definitely have one for you.
I did hear that. I think I did see that bit, and I'll take him up on that. I do want to show this to Art before we sign off here. I know I showed it last time, but there's my autograph Bob Chaffee.
One of the greatest football players in Michigan history, right there. Man, so as we said, your great uncle's a legend. I mean, he's one of the best. I mean, it doesn't get much better than Bob Chaffee when you're talking about the maize and blue. Definitely.
Thank you, brother.
Hey,
well, Johnny,
I mean it.
Thank you. So great to have a legend's great nephew. Is that what it is, right? Great nephew on the Word on Woodward. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. And of course, a big thank you to McLaren Health Care for presenting Brush Street Beat right here on the Word on Woodward.